All right, so this will be the last work in progress on the Deckard build. In the last video, I finished him. I finished painting the tie this morning, which actually didn't take too long. It took me about 30 minutes. Actually, looks really good. So got that done, glued on. My client wanted a simple base, so we're banging ideas back and forth. And basically, we're taking a tile from Deckard's house. It's called the Ennis house, and I'm 3D printing it right now. I got my 3D printer out in the garage now. Yay! So now my house doesn't stink. My garage smells like resin, but we cleaned the garage the other day, last weekend. Not too long ago, it's off topic. About 2 weeks ago, you could not walk on here. It was like, we looked like hoarders because we were doing some home improvement. But now I have my 3D printer out here. This used to be my work area, where I used to build and paint was right here. But now I'm inside. I got a bigger, better place. So I got the 3D printer out here, and I'm printing a tile. So it's not real big. I increased the size to take up the full printing bed, so it'll be roughly 6 by 6. So he'll stand on there at an angle. Now this tile does have different levels, so I may have to like put a piece of plexi or something down. I don't know, to figure that out for him to stand on. But we're gonna let this thing print, and hopefully it turns out. I haven't printed outside yet, and I got something in the. Piece of schmutz. So we're gonna let this print. It should take about 2 hours. This says an hour. We'll see. Oh yeah, because when you first start the print, it only does the. It takes into account the first few layers, which are much longer exposure time. So about an hour. We'll see how it turns out, and then if it doesn't work, we'll do it again. So it's a short print. It's only about that tall, so it shouldn't take too long. So we'll come back when it's done printing. Okay, so here's our print off the printer. Turned out pretty good. Got a few little imperfections. Look, maybe some air bubbles, one there, and one there. I'm actually printing another one right now. This took about a little over an hour to print because it's not very big. So what I think we're going to do is, since I have this, I'm going to go ahead and work on it a little bit. I cleaned it in mean green first with the scrub brush, and then I sprayed some isopropyl alcohol on it. Give that a little bath, and I stuck it outside. Stuck it on a UV light for about an hour, and then just stuck it outside for a little while. So now it should be cured. So I figured this is a good opportunity to kind of show you how to clean something up. You see these little nipples on the bottom. That's because I just printed it flat on the print bed, and the print bed for the Transform has perforations. So I scaled this up 110%. It was slightly smaller from the original file. So I printed it the full width of the bed, or the full depth, I guess. So about 6 inches. And whenever you do these, the first layers you print usually for about a minute, so you get a little kind of little lip here. That's just because it's just the way it works. When those first layers are kind of pooch out a little bit, and it's warped just a little bit, and that's just because it's a big flat piece. What I think we're going to do is I'm going to clean this up, and I think I'm going to maybe glue it to a piece of wood, and he actually fits on here just perfectly. So if I take him, he'll sit just perfectly in here at an angle, just like that. And I will, one reason I want to put this on a piece of wood is because I want to drill a hole through the bottom for one of his feet, so I can peg him in so he won't fall over. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to sand the bottom, sand the edges, and fill the little imperfections. And then I'm not sure if I have any wood here that I can put him on, that I can glue it to. I'll epoxy it, I'll clamp it to a piece of wood so it stays flat, and then I'll raise him up a little bit, and I can drill a hole and put a peg. So let's put him aside for now, because we do not want to damage the awesomely painted figure. Get him out of the way. So this was printed at a layer height of 0.05 or 50 microns, which is like a standard print thing. You see the kind of grid pattern there? That's actually the LED array, but it's smooth. I mean, it's, being a flat rectangular piece, you don't see any grow lines. So I've got a sanding block here, or sanding bar, and what do I have on here right now? I think this is 180 grit sandpaper. So I've got some 180 grit for this, and this is messy. So I'm gonna go through and sand the bottom. So I'm not gonna do this all on camera. I'm gonna sand the bottom and sand the edges flat, just like this, using this aluminum sanding bar. These aluminum sanding bars are awesome because they're perfectly flat. There's no chance of not sanding a flat surface. So it's gonna be messy, but that's what's, you know, there's a lot of sanding in model building. So I'll do that and I'll come back. Alrighty, so it took a few minutes, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to sand that down. So the bottom's gonna leave rough because I want to glue this to the top of a wood riser, like I said, a piece of wood. And it's a little warped, but once I glue it, I'll clamp it down and it should stay flat. So now what I gotta do is I got like got 3 little kind of imperfections here. 1, 2, and 1 at the top. So I'm gonna use my favorite body filler. This is Evercoat body filler. You can use Bondo. Bondo is just a brand name. Evercoat is just a brand name. It's just a type of automotive filler. I like this because it sands super, super easily. And I'm just gonna mix the little tiny bits up at a time for each spot. So I'm gonna put a little here on my just some cardboard, and it uses a cream hardener. Forgot to knead it up. You don't need this stuff in the tube; it tends to separate. So just knead this up. Actually, I see a few other little areas I'm gonna try to fill. And then in the movie, this actually has a stone kind of texture to it. So I'm going to talk to my client. My idea is to just do the black part or the wood part like black, just a flat black, and then this part is stone. So I'm going to mix this up. When I mix it, I turn and fold. Gets any air out of it. And we're just going to, for this top part, I'm just going to push down. Make sure it fills that hole. And this isn't like Aves where it takes 24 hours. This should dry pretty quick. Just like that. And I build it up just a little bit higher. So that'll sand down smooth. I guess since I have some of this here, this, depending on how much harder you have, will determine how fast this kicks off. So I just have to get in there with some sandpaper and sand that corner a little bit. This just goes to show you that 3D printing is not just a wham bam, thank you ma'am, you're done. Prints need work. I guess I could just take my finger and do this. So it's gonna be a little messy, but we'll sand it nice and straight once it's cured. All right, so that's already starting to set off. So I'll come back in about 5 minutes and we'll sand that. Okay, so that's dried. I went ahead and mixed up a little bit more and filled the other little imperfections. And now I'm just going to take, what do I have? I should have a sanding block here somewhere. I don't want to use 180, that's too much. Yeah, we can do that. So I'm just going to take this same block here, especially on this top part. I'm going to sand this smooth. And then I'll follow it up with a finer. I got rolls of sandpaper over here. Let's get some point. This is some 320 here. Let's fold it up. And then follow it up with this. And that little imperfection is taken care of. And then once you prime and everything, you may have to do a little sand. I don't feel it, so if I don't feel it, it probably won't show up. I never use my eyes. I always feel whatever it is I'm working on, because your fingertips are much more sensitive than what your eyes can see. So like in here, I come in here, these will be the hardest areas to sand because they're right in the corner and I don't want to round them off. Come in here. This is back to my old days when I used to work on cars, paint body work. Once I'm done with this, I'll give everything a good coat of primer, and then I'll see if I got any scrap wood in my garage I can use to glue this onto. So these have already dried since I put them on. Hopefully YouTube will not hear that music in the background and flag my video. 1 second. Alright, so we're just sanding into all these little imperfections. And then I'll go give it a bath in some soapy water. And we should be pretty good to do the next part. So like in here, I've got this paper folded to kind of a point so I can get down in there. There's a little bubble down there. That's good. That's good. So about, 15-20 minutes of cleanup on this print. It's not too bad. That's actually the hardest one right here because it's right in the corner. So I've got this folded down to go right in the edge there, and hopefully that maintains that sharp corner. All right. Give it a good, run my hands over it. There's a little bit of an edge there. You can hear that. They sound like a zipper. That's the sandpaper hitting the grow lines. Even though I don't see them, Doesn't mean they're not there. So all these printers, you're gonna have grow lines. It's just what determines the amount of grow lines is the quality of the printer and resolution and all that stuff, and what you're printing. So this looks pretty good. I'm gonna give this a soapy bath to get any residual dust off and oil from my fingers, and I'll prime it. And then I'm just gonna prime this side. I'm not gonna prime this side because I want this to be bare resin, so I have a good bond to whatever it is I glue this to. Alrighty, so I found some scrap wood in my garage. I cut it to size, and I put some 10-minute epoxy, clamped this down really good. So we're gonna let this sit up for at least an hour, maybe a couple hours. So tonight I can go through and I'll probably do maybe a small little bit of body filler on each edge just to even it out, because it's off just a hair, like right there. It's not perfectly flat. And I don't want to sand down the resin tile anymore because it's got a little detail edge on the top. Sorry, I'm hand holding this. I don't want to lose any of this. So we'll see what it looks like after it's done, how everything lines up, and then we'll go from there. So what I'll probably do is, this is just MDF down here. So, you know, it's not super high nice wood, but it's stable. So this will stay flat now. I'll probably just paint this flat black, and then the top, decide what color. If we're going to do the stone technique or just do a solid color. So don't know yet, but there you go. Got the tile getting dried on top of a piece of wood, so it'll be nice and flat. And I can drill a hole up through the bottom into Deckard's foot, and he'll be stable. So we'll come back, we'll keep working on this. Okay, so after about an hour, I took the clamps off, and it looked really good. So what I did is I went through and I just I skimmed all edges with some of the same body filler I used to fill the imperfections. Sanded it down with 180 just to kind of fill any seams and smooth it out. And now I'm going to hit that edge one more time with some super fine sandpaper, and then we're going to prime it one more time, and it'll be ready for paint. So not too difficult. That 3D printer sure does make a big difference when you want to do something like this, and instead of scratch building it, you can print one up. And the other one I printed had a few more imperfections than this one, so I just kept this one. So I'm just going to go in here and lightly sand this to, now it's real smooth. So it was MDF, so one of the reasons I wanted to skim coat some body filler is I wanted to fill the pores of the MDF so it would paint better. Now it's like super smooth. It'll take paint much better. You can do this, and then we'll prime it again, and then we'll be ready for paint. I did the initial sanding outside because it was messy. And I was thinking, I mentioned I was going to put a rod in this for Deckard. I don't think I'm going to do it because where his foot sits is right here. It kind of hovers over here. I think it's fine as long as you're not moving the piece around. He's not going to fall over. He stands very well in the zone, so I'm not going to worry about putting a rod in it. Alrighty. Alright, so I can't wash this in water because I got the MDF, so I'll blow it off really well, tag it down, prime it, and then we'll see if there's any little areas that need to be sanded again, but this looks like it's pretty good, I think. So I've got about, materials wise, it took about a little over half a bottle of resin, so about $25 in resin for the tile, which seems like a lot, but I guess I printed it solid, and it did cover pretty good. It did cover most of the build plate, so for something so small, it seems like I should have used less resin, but it took about half a bottle of resin, and that resin is about 50 bucks a bottle. So $20 in resin, a couple bucks, you know, in spare scrap wood, and so far I've got about, oh, I don't know, of actual labor, not including the print time, I've got about, I don't know, 3 hours of work into this so far. So so I have to decide how I want to paint it. I thought I was going to do Initially, I was thinking I'd paint it just like one of the tiles in Ennis house. It's got like a rocky stone texture to it, but I really like the clean look. So I'm thinking trying to keep it kind of simple. Paint it the same color, but just do some washes on it to kind of give it some lightly weathered look to it. That's kind of my thoughts. So I kind of have free reign on this. So, all right, enough sanding. We'll get this cleaned off and primed again. Alrighty, so I went ahead and sprayed the bottom and the sides with some flat black and let it dry for, I hear that, 30 minutes or so. My wife's telling me there's music in the background. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw in some of these little felt things on the corners right now so I can put this down and not hurt the bottom of it. So I put those on because this bottom part's going to stay black. So the Ennis, if you're not familiar with the Ennis house, it's actually a Frank Lloyd Wright house in California, and it was used as Deckard's apartment in the movie as the set. So I can move that piece of paper the way. Now I can set that down. It's not going to get scratched up on the bottom. I'm going to use some Tamiya hobby tape to. I'm going to mask. I can still see the edge of where the resin tile is, so I'm just going to follow that and mask around this. And this tape is low tack enough, and this paint's dried enough that I can do this without it pulling up. I'm just off camera here because I need to. I'm going to pause. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've masked this edge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some blue painter's tape, and it's a little stickier. So what I do is I put it on my leg, or I put it on my pants, and I pull it off a few times. And what that does is it gets a good portion of the tackiness off because it's a little stickier, and I don't want it to pull this paint up. And it doesn't have to stick real well anyway. I just need to kind of block any overspray from painting the top side of the base. So I was going to put it on real loosely like this, just to keep any paint from getting on it. So I'm going to just take it. I'm off camera here again. And I just put it on my pants and then pull it off. And what that does, it pulls up some lint off your pants and leaves some of the stickiness, takes some of the stickiness off. Helps, it allows you to mask a little quicker than you normally would be able to. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back and then we'll start putting paint down. Alright, so we're all masked off. Now I'm going to, the Ennis tiles are kind of a sandstone color. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put a layer of, well actually what we'll do is, let me get Deckard all the way so we don't get paint on him. I was still playing with the idea of putting a peg in the base, but I put them down and I wiggle them, and I think he's okay. If his foot was on a flat surface, it'd be easier. But I don't have a drill press, so it'd be real tricky for me to make sure that that hole is lined up and perfect. So he's not. I think he's okay. So if I turn him like this, he's not wanting to fall over. And it's not like you play with these things anyway. You put them on your shelf to look at. So I think he's okay. Let's put him to the side. And I'm going to start off with some, let's see what colors I have. I can use that kind of, actually no, it would actually work really well. Is maybe some of this medium African flesh as a base. Okay, so I'm going to do. Okay. So I'm going to put some of this on. I'm going to do some of the same techniques I did on its clothes, get some texture in them. I can use a brush and stipple on some different shades and stuff. So I'm going to do this, and then I'll come back. Alrighty, so I got that flat coated. Hold on one second. So someone asked me my previous video, what do I use to seal with? And I've mentioned it before, but I've been using the Krylon Max Clear Flat. I used to use the matte, but I can't find any more near me. So, and he's like, how many coats do you put on? And da-da-da-da. So it all depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just like working on eyes and I just need a real quick seal, I'll do 1 or 2 real quick spritz, and that's it. And I'll hit with the hair dryer. If I'm doing something like this, where I'm going to go do some work on it, I gave this like 2 medium coats, 2 medium wet coats, because it doesn't dry flat, it'll dry kind of a semi-matte. If I wanted to dry something like a semi-gloss, you can spray it wet and you'll get like a semi-gloss. So just depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just doing a quick seal between steps, it's usually 1 or 2 light coats, hit it with the hair dryer, and I can keep moving on. So these are the 3 colors I'm going to work with. I've got Natural Bone, Dust, which is a little pink in it, and Dirt. So I'm going to work dark to light, and we're going to just do the same thing I did with kind of like the clothes and stuff on deck. We're just going to come in here and do this number, and this will give it hopefully the look of sandstone. Now, does this have... These are all, again, Garage Kits.us colors. So I put down that dark African Flesh just to kind of give it some warmth before I started doing these steps. Thought about leaving it clean, but since Decker's kind of, he's not super clean, so we're going to do this. And you can see this dries dark, so it dries down, so that's why I start dark to light. Make sure you get on all the sides and all the nooks and crannies. You can see I'm not being super careful with it. I do come over here and take off the excess. Kind of the more random, the better. So I'll do this color, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so this is what we have after doing the dirt color. It looks really good. I'm going to do Natural Bone. I may not, oh, this dust is a little pink in it. I'm not sure if I want to do pink, but we'll see. We're going to do this Natural Bone next. It's a nice, another warm color. And we're just going to do the same thing. This may be all I need. Because what we're going to do after this is I'm going to give it a wash to get down in all the details, which will bring it way back down dark. And then I'm going to dry brush highlights on it, and I'll bring out all the details. I don't think I'm going to do the pink. I don't think that's going in the right direction. That dust color. I shouldn't have put it out. I'm going to waste a bunch of paint, but that's alright. Alright, so I'm going to do this color and come back. Alright, so we sealed that. I'm going to take some burnt umber, like we've done in the past. I'm going to make a soupy wash with this, put this on there and wipe it off. I'll bring it down quite a bit, but then we're going to go back and dry brush highlights on it. Do the same brush here. Excuse me. Can't make it too watery, otherwise it'll just bead. Again, have to be real careful with it. And I sealed this. See, it's starting to beading, so I probably need to put some more paint in there. Just thicken it up a little bit. I want to be careful around my tape because I don't want to get that too wet, it'll peel up. So I'll just take a rag that's got some of the wash on it and kind of hit it. So I'm not going to worry about the sides yet. Maybe a little bit. I don't want to get too wet because that tape will lift. But there's a little detail lip there that I want to bring out. Okay. Now I'll just take one of my crappy rags, like this one, start wiping it off as best I can. So I'll do this and come back. Okay, well that didn't work out the way I thought it was going to be. I was having a hard time getting it to come off, so I just went in and did the stippling thing again. It was, for whatever reason, stuck really, really well. So I just went in and did the stippling again on this and actually really like it. So again, happy accident, yay. I'm going to go back in with the natural bone on top of this and see what that does. I mean, it may have done exactly what I wanted it to do. Let's see. So I'm going to go back in with the natural bone. On top of this. And then maybe from there I'll do some dry brushing. And this I'm just going to go from the top. I'm not going to try to like get in all the nooks and crannies, I think. And just let the brush do its thing. Is it good? My wife made jambalaya for dinner. It's one of my favorites. So that little happy accident, again, lots of happy accidents. May have done exactly what I wanted it to do. This is looking pretty close what I had in mind. If you look at the photos of the Ennis house, the tiles are pretty bright. At least in real life. They're hard to see in the movie sometimes because it's, you know, it's a really dark movie. Light-wise, there's not a lot of bright light in the movie. Yeah, it's kind of drying down right where I want it. He was about to go in there and grab a snack, and then I told him it was for dinner, and he left. So he's hungry. My son never eats dinner. He only wants to eat snacks. Quite frustrating. Yeah, this looks really good. This is kind of what I had in mind. So from here I will go in and do just a little, ever so slight dry brushing. I don't want to brighten it up too much. I want to keep it kind of dark. And this brush I'll just toss when I'm done. It's one of those multi-packs you buy at Hobby Lobby. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to seal that and we'll do a little bit of dry brushing and see what it looks like. Okay, for my highlight color, I'm going to try this Elfic Flesh from Game Color. It's pretty bright, but it's got a very sandstone look to it, so that's kind of what we're going for. I got a big old brush here. Let's see what this looks like. So I'm using a big soft brush because I don't mind if this gets down into the crevices a little bit. But I really just want to catch the edges more than anything. Too much. Yeah. Yeah, give me a second. It's dinner time, so I gotta go, but I think you guys get the idea. This is kind of give me the look I want. Yeah. Too much. Yeah, too much. You just get a little damn Q-tip and take it off and just hit it again, just lighter. Spot right there. What I don't want to see is like brush marks. Try to avoid that. All right. Kind of digging it. Lots of nice tones in there. Get those streaks in there, I don't want that. I may do one more thing after this. Look at this. I may go in with some pastels and just hit the shadows. Yeah, I think I'll do that. It'll be a quick step. Okay. So this looks pretty good. So I'm gonna seal this, eat some dinner, and then we're gonna go and hit the corners with pastels and see what it looks like. All right, so I'm gonna go in here with some of this metal slag pastels, and I'm gonna go in and deepen the shadows, and then this should be, I think, done. We'll see. So I'm just going here, I'm just kind of getting it right in the corners, like this. And blow the excess away, and then take a big brush and just like doing the skin, soften it up. I like the highlights, but it looks too clean to me for being a Blade Runner-esque thing. So it's kind of my own take on this. It's not like movie accurate. Yeah, that's looking good. Nice and dirty. So I'll do that and come back. Alright. So let's see what this looks like. To seal it, hopefully my black paint doesn't peel up. I think it's pretty good for a simple base. Sorry, I'm off camera. Peeling the tape off. So far, so good. Alright. Where's the edge? There it is. Boom. I think that looks pretty damn sharp. One more thing I gotta do. One more. And then I'm calling this project done. One more, hold on. So on every piece I paint, I always throw a couple of my stickers in there, and I usually put this on the bottom. This is pretty big. But I've got my logo painted by, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna throw it on there. I mean, it's big, but why not? It shows that I'm the one that painted it and the date. Let's see, do I have a pen up here? I did at one point. So I sign it, put it on the bottom, and then we're good to go. Actually need a Sharpie. And my signature is really stupid looking, by the way. Hold on. Alright, so I couldn't find a Sharpie, so I just used the ballpoint pen, so it's not the best, but signature date that I painted it on. I usually just put the month. But I put today's date on there. Why not? Get low on these stickers and get some more made. And just try to center it up and make sure it's straight as possible. So when I do prototypes, I'll sign it and throw one of these in the prototype box. Oh shit, I just smeared all that ink. Okay, well, I need to find a Sharpie. Just wasted a sticker. All right, officially done. My label, the base. Let's see how Deckard looks on the base. Hope he looks okay because this is what it is. This is what it is. All right, I think that looks pretty damn good. Boom. All right. 1/6 scale Deckard. Built and painted, let's see, what's today, the 9th? I got this done in about 5 days, 6 days. Super, super happy with this. So, hopefully, Rob likes it. There you go. For anyone who watched this video series, I really appreciate it. And for the 2 or 3 of you who made left comments, thanks a lot. I know I get long-winded and stuff, but I like to record things in real time, show you how I do things, how I screw up, how I fix things, all that stuff. So I really appreciate you watching. I know they're long. It's hard to listen to me for 3 hours at a time. My wife can't listen to me for 5 minutes. So I get it. But as always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Mrozek. Catch you guys next time. Bye.